of tolerance and potentially dependence on that substance. Yeah.
And we do know the result is fatalities. So in terms of the new decriminalization pilot project in BC, benzos have been left out. Why? Why do you think that is?
If I wanted to give the ministry the benefit of the doubt, or the province the benefit of the doubt, I would say it is demonstrative of a lack of understanding and awareness of what's happening on the ground, what the illicit market looks like, what people are purchasing from the illicit market, how people are dying from overdoses in relation to which substances. That's one view. The other more cynical view that I tend to hold is that I'm not fully convinced that the provincial government has ever actually been interested in decriminalizing all substance users, and particularly marginalized substance users. If you look at the threshold quantity that was identified by the Ministry and Health Canada, it's very low. It is great for people who possess below 2.5 grams, but it leaves out a significant subsection of people who use drugs. And I think that the exclusion of benzodiazepines and this narrowing down of substances is reflective of kind of a persistent stigma against certain drug users.
So you did say this is the central view, but if decriminalization is not going to help the most vulnerable people, then who do you believe this measure is aimed at?
I think this measure is aimed at people who are going to be possessing 2.5 grams of substances or less, relatively small quantities. So we might be talking about what people refer to as weekend warriors, not the people who are routinely engaging with the illicit market, not the people who use larger quantities of substances, and there are a lot of people who use more than that quantity of substances.
Does that mean that had benzos been included in the pilot project, that more people from the most vulnerable groups, not necessarily the weekend warriors or the middle class drug users, that more people from vulnerable groups would be saved?
I mean, protected by the policy, yes. Saved in terms of life or death, I'm not sure, because I'm not convinced that decriminalization is directly tied to whether a person lives or dies. What I will say is that the larger number of substances that are included, the more people that will be captured and protected by this policy.
If you had a chance to rework the decriminalization project, how would you change it?
This has been my position from the get-go since I started advocating with the province around this policy, and it has been as close as we can get to decriminalization for all. It is my firm belief that the harms associated with substance use actually derive from the criminalization of substance use. It is criminalization that has caused a robust illicit market. It is criminalization that results in disproportionate incarceration of Black, Indigenous, and poor communities. So we need to decriminalize all people. In my view, no person should be charged, arrested, or possessing drugs for their own use. And so I would ensure that this policy applies to all substances, change the threshold limit, eliminate it entirely, or make it high enough that it actually protects realistically the quantities of substances that people are purchasing. I would make it apply to youth. From a policy perspective, I would have a more vocal and forceful provincial government to step in when municipal governments attempt to undermine this policy with bylaws. Those are all things I would do.
You know that there are enormous political pressures to retain the criminalization of drug use. There's a political reality that not everybody is on board with decriminalization, and the government has to consider that. Do you think that this level of decriminalization, as flawed as you say it is a step forward?
I do think it's a step forward. I think it's symbolic of the strength of our movement. It is potentially going to set a precedent for communities around the country. I recognize that it is political. I will also say that in the process of developing this policy, the planning table consisted of legal experts, medical professionals, health authorities, Indigenous groups, people who use drugs, community members. We had a total agreement and coalition on higher thresholds and a policy that actually listened to the words of people who use drugs on a lighter pace. So I would say that while yes, it is political, it is not necessarily out of favor with the actual community.
Lisa Lapointe, the BC chief coroner, who we heard at the beginning of the interview, there was frustration in her voice when she talked about the overdose deaths that are coming that could be prevented. Do you know people in your circles that might be protected by what's been brought in this week?
I know people who might be protected against incarceration, police harassment, who might have a little more security of mind when they travel from their home to an overdose prevention site with drug in hand. Prior to this policy, they were criminalized the entire walk from home to overdose prevention sites. So removing that is, of course, a net positive. But the vast majority of people I know will likely not be protected by this policy, and arguably they need it most.
Caitlin Shane, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Caitlin Shane is a lawyer who leads the Pivot Legal Society's drug policy campaign. Here are some other stories we're keeping an eye on this weekend.
You wouldn't be dead if it weren't for you. So, I'd just like an apology. And to see justice made for these people that have killed multiple people now and are still working and in our society. It's not okay.
That's Lily Speed Namox. Her father, Dale Culver, died in police custody in Prince George in 2017. Culver was a member of the Gitkasan and Wet'suwet'en Nations. This week, 2 RCMP officers were charged with manslaughter in his death. 3 other officers have been charged with attempting to obstruct justice. BC's Independent Investigation Office recommended these charges in 2020, but it has taken 3 years for them to be laid. Culver is one of 3 Indigenous men who died in RCMP custody in Prince George between 2017 and 2020. And U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is postponing his trip to Beijing after a high-altitude Chinese balloon sailed into U.S. airspace. The U.S. and Canada say it's a spy balloon. China says it's a weather balloon that blew off course. A Canadian government official says the balloon also flew over Canada. Canada has summoned China's ambassador in response. The other day, a story went viral that nobody saw coming. I'm not talking about the FBI raid on Joe Biden's summer house or Tom Brady's retirement, for real this time it seems. I'm talking about the queen of minimalism, Marie Kondo. Kondo rocketed to fame as an organizing guru. If somebody asked you to name the world's most tidy person, she'd probably be on your list. She might even be your whole list. But that was before Marie Kondo came clean about the fact that her house is anything but. In fact, since she's had her 3rd kid, Kondo says she's given up on being tidy. Comedian Emma Hunter also has 3 kids at home, all under the age of 5, and she has some thoughts for Marie Kondo on the life-changing magic of not tidying up.
Dear Miss Kondo, my name is Emma Hunter. I, like you, am a mother of 3. I, like you, had a life before. I had a life before damp diapers on the stairs, upturned cereal bowls, and a car filled with raisins. I never bought raisins. Whose are those? The difference, however, Miss Kondo, between you and I, is that in the before, you remember the before. In the deep of before, I never purported to be an expert on how to be kept. In my before, I was a waitress slinging chicken wings in a pub. I played a duck dressed as a fairy at children's birthday parties. If you know me, I'm not really a duck dressed as a fairy type of person. I am, however, at peace with my previous occupations. In your before, Miss Kondo, you would enter a victim's home, the poor woman likely covered in almond milk, and explain to her how if she could just throw 90% of her stuff away, then she could find paradise. I'm here to tell you that the stuff to a mother is all we have. I once threw out the head of a broken baby doll. I found it under the couch when I was vacuuming. I was just tidying up, you know, like you told us to. Soon after, my son started asking for his dolly. Where's that head? I need it. I, like all mothers, activated performance mode.